What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Money in Motion, joined by CJ Reichel. I am Monte from Trade the Chain, and we are here to break down the markets, get your day started off right. Today is Thursday, the 20th, and there's plenty to talk about because markets are moving. Bitcoin looking good, looking like it's rebounding from that level that we had talked about in yesterday's episode, and also on Trading Rebellion with Nick. Also, ETH showing that high beta relationship that we like to see from the altcoins. And then, of course, the altcoins doing what they do and, showing a little bit even higher beta. And on top of that, there's plenty of interesting stuff on the traditional equity side that we could talk about as well. And I'm really looking forward to diving into it. But before we get started, CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Yeah, it's been interesting to see kind of Bitcoin up or at least rebounding a little bit today, whereas the Nasdaq is down, almost 1% or 80 basis points.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that relationship ultimately turns out. But it seems like risk is, getting sold a little bit here to start the morning, and I think it's probably worth going back to the dollar as well and talking about that because I think we're seeing some nice strength this morning to start. Last night in Discord, I talked about the dollar kind of withering a little bit. It did sell off a little bit last night, but now seeing it bounce back and actually have some buy pressure is something that I think you'd want to see, especially with just how extreme the sentiment's been. So we can take a look at that as well as some other assets. But anything you'd like to start us off with here today?
Yeah, I think we'd be remiss not to start off with what is looking like the driving force of the markets today, and that is Tesla. I don't know if you've taken a look at that chart yet today.
Also Netflix earnings down about 8%.
So I think that's a large contributor to that divergence that you talked about between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq. Let me pull up Tesla chart because certainly worth noting, and as earnings have been a massive catalyst in the past, not too surprising to see them be a catalyst today. But this is what I was talking about when I was talking about how I'm riding a lot of assets into earnings, and I don't want to play the game of guessing whether or not they're going to be in the top or bottom line, and then in turn, even how the market's going to respond to that. Think about the assumptions you have to make there correctly. You have to get their earnings, revenue, and the reaction in the market. All three need to be.
That's a 3-leg parlay right there.
Exactly. And if you understand anything about ergodicity, you'll know that there's no chance, like the chances of you hitting that are very, very low. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. Tesla beat on the top and bottom line, yet still getting absolutely hammered today. And I think that that's going to be the case for a lot of these big tech names. I know they're down today already, but I do think they'll bounce back. What worries me, though, is what this will do to the psychology of traders and my thesis that I previously had for a lot of these other stocks where people are going to run them up into earnings because, that's what we've seen in the past. People are kind of talking about, flipping bullish, and until earnings, I kept saying, I'm giving this a quote unquote green light until earnings. And with a lot of these assets, I'm still bullish as we approach earnings. But the problem is with Tesla's reaction to a positive earnings report looking like this, and then Netflix as well, like CJ pointed out, with another positive earnings report and reacting like this, it makes me think that people are going to become far more reluctant to try and front run any earnings reports, especially in some of these big tech names, as Tesla is down 6% today. So it makes me, I'm kind of reevaluating my thesis a bit here in terms of going long into earnings and then selling the day before earnings. Obviously, that would have worked great with Tesla, but now that Tesla has taken such a significant, blow here after positive earnings, it makes me wonder if people are still going to be willing to take that risk and front run the earnings of a lot of these other big tech names as well. So just reevaluating my thesis. I think today is going to be a very critical day for the markets to see how they digest this Tesla big move to the downside and the Netflix move as well. But we have, clearly two assets that, although Netflix didn't be in the top and bottom line, they beat on their earnings and had an extremely negative reaction. So who's to say that, the other big tech names won't do the exact same thing? Um, Despite the fact that they've had a great quarter, I think a lot of these names could sell off on earnings. And that's why I had been talking about being long into earnings and then getting out right before. But now that Tesla is kind of poking a hole in that thesis, we may not get that positive price action into earnings that I was hoping for. So, going to keep a close eye on how Tesla closes the day. Hopefully, some buyers step back in. It seems like there's a little bit of bidding happening right now, but overall, really some extraordinary price action there after that earnings report.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I remember when AMD had its earnings and it went down 8%, and then it literally only went up for like the next 10 days of trading. So we'll see. I mean, I think it really depends on how people want to trade this, or whether they're very enthusiastic to short it following some, negative earnings. But anyways, I guess just switching to my charts. Been talking about the Russell this week and been trading around that. Down today, but we'll see if we consolidate around these levels. Still kind of consolidating into the breakout resistance levels. We'll see ultimately what happens there. But as long as we don't lose, I think, 1960, things should probably have a bullish consolidation. But then again, we'll see. Dollar is really showing some nice strength, as we had mentioned earlier in the show. This is just such a sentiment thing, because I've seen like so many big accounts that like are typically good fades, just like talking about the dollar. And it's just very, very reminiscent of the situation I keep talking about, back in like late September of last year, when, euro and pound basically bottomed. The sentiment was just so extreme. So perhaps dollars going through something similar. Either way, we're seeing a continuation of that short squeeze, or just forcing shorts to cover, because out of all the short positions that hedge funds have, the dollar is one of the most prominently crowded ones.
CJ, if you don't mind me asking real quick, one thing you had said earlier in the week is that before you were willing to get long dollar, you wanted to see something from the dollar. Is this the something that you were referring to? Is this enough of a move to the upside to convince you that, maybe taking on some long dollar trades in various pairs is a good move?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm actually glad you asked, because I'll show you an example of what didn't show me enough, and actually
There we go.
stopped me out. So I think let's see if we can go back and use replay mode. I haven't done this in a while. All right, nice. Okay, there's a trading view ad. Okay, so first reversal candle from coffee. I'm pretty sure I bought that one, or maybe the next day. Yeah, I think I bought that one, because that's kind of like, it's kind of showing you something. It's starting to bottom, but it's still in a very strong downtrend. And then, the next day it just retests the lows and stops you out. And so that's what's happened, or that's what happened to me with coffee earlier in the week. And, ever since, it really has been weak, and it hasn't really, showed you anything. So except for today, where we've had a little bit of a 2% rebound. But to me, like, I need to see, like, I want to see these highs get ran, or some momentum to show me that the short squeeze is in progress. Because right now, you might have a day of bullish price action or 2 days of bullish price action, but COT and looking at these crowded trades, you're trying to capture the short squeeze, or the forced buying or selling of the market participants. And there's just not enough forcing right now, I guess you could say,
Right.
in coffee. So I'm waiting. I want to see some type of break above maybe 160, or some type of positive momentum for a long there. Now, going back to the dollar, I think, we've already kind of seen that. And plus, look at the force that the dollar dropped with. it went literally straight down. Whereas, when comparing to something like coffee, it was more of a gradual, it took longer. The downtrend is kind of more in the market participants' like perspective. So maybe that results in a longer, accumulation period where the dollar just needs to go touch it and then come back up to, 101 or something. So long answer to your question, but yes, the dollar is showing me enough. So
Thank you. Yeah, that's I mean, the velocity with which it fell last week was pretty staggering, and it's looking like we may see the similar velocity to the upside. Are there any pairs in particular, like dollar yen or the euro dollar, where you're seeing particular opportunity, or are you just gonna stick with outright DXY buying?
I probably could have shorted pound or looked at that based on like my system, or just like looking at crowded trades in terms of COT. Pound had been one of the ones that was crowded up here that I was shorting, kind of at these levels, and I think was eventually stopped out at like break even or maybe for a tiny loss. But I think just because of that, it made me a little hesitant to short British pound. But this would have been the ones that is actually like qualifying and presenting similar signs as like the dollar in terms of being equally crowded. Euro is a little bit more like balanced or neutral, I guess I should say. And then dollar yen is actually one of the most crowded in terms of longs. But after last week's short squeeze, I think you've seen a lot of the longs, excuse me, the shorts in yen just like be forced to cover throughout last week. Now we just haven't seen any buy pressure or continuation. I think that's just a reflection of, people betting against the dovish monetary policy of the Bank of Japan. But, Swiss franc is...
That's an ugly candle.
Yeah, let me take a look at the positioning within Swiss franc and some of these. So somewhat neutral in terms of Swiss franc. Retail is a bit short, but not really anything to ride home about. Yeah, Swiss franc's an interesting hedge. If we go to... Also, I think gold is probably getting a little bit tired. I mean, we'll see what happens. But I don't think you'd want to be long gold here with the dollar first starting to rebound. Yeah, euro's pretty neutral. Pound is still crowded with shorts. So to answer your question again, pound short or dollar long. Canadian dollar's actually been hanging in there, but it's showing similar symptoms of being crowded. We'll see. There's a lot of kind of weird correlation breakdowns going on in FX right now. So I think that's another reason why I kind of just felt better about just dollar straight up. I think, the continual learning experience that we all get in trading each and every day, I think it's just continually enhanced or reinforced to me. It's just simple, just more simplicity. The more simple things can be, the more consistent and just better you're going to be all around.
Yeah, what do they say? Keep it simple, stupid. That's keep telling yourself that. But I just want to talk about a few different assets that are showing very similar technical formations, and it's not surprising because they're in the same vein of crypto. But I think plausibly we could see some nice positive price action in these assets. So starting off with Engine, CJ, I see you now audibly laughing. But
so what's the sales pitch on this Ponzi?
There's no sales pitch. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not telling you to go out and buy this. This is not financial advice, yada, yada, yada.
I'm just kidding.
But I just want to note the parallels between, just look at these charts. Engine, Axie, Mana, Theta. all of them look so similar in the sense that they bottomed on the same day, Saturday, June 10th, and since have shown signs of, slowly creeping positive price action. Now, Theta is showing some nice high beta price action today, up 5%. And I think we could definitely see something similar from some of these NFT coins that are showing this sort of structure that I really like. Another asset that is showing a similar structure or had been and then continued to look really great is Uni, right? And you can see back here we were talking about it, how it came back down to retest that line where, a lot of these assets could plausibly, pull back and test. See, like this, you can, you know, basically just take the trend line. If it breaks below it, cut it. If it bounces from it, buy it. Simple as that. You can apply that to a lot of these assets. And we did that with Uni earlier in the week. And as you can see, this one has been performing tremendously well. This was on the back of a short squeeze, then more shorts piled in. We talked about how funding got overwhelmingly negative, and then it continued to climb higher. So I still really like Uni. And I still have this target of 0.6 or 6.35, but gonna have to reevaluate that because I think this thing can go even higher based on what we're seeing already today. I mean, look at today's daily candle. One, look at the volume we're seeing already today with still 9.5 hours left in today's daily candle. I think we could see something like this where we get a sharp move up to this level. And not only do I consider 6.35 a critical level in terms of like where I would take profit because of these wicks here that we saw, this distribution, I would mark this as a breakout level as well. If we get above this level and we, do the textbook, above that level, then we get those wicks of distribution like we did previously in April, come back down, retest that level, then climb higher. That is exactly what I'd be looking to see. So there's a couple of different ways you can play this. One, you could buy it now, play a continuation up to this level, and then distribute into this critical level like traders did here, or wait for a break above and then move back down, confirmation of support. And then, I think this thing keeps going back up towards $7. So I'm really bullish Uni, but I just wanted to point out that a lot of these assets in the NFT sector are showing very similar formations to what Uni showed before it made its massive move to the upside. So just found that to be pretty interesting and maybe indicative of a move in some of those assets. So
Could you pull up the chart of INJ, please? I'd like to look at that one because it's almost into price discovery.
it is. It is. Oops.
Yeah, so this has been probably one of the most consistent altcoins in terms of like uptrends and what we've seen in relative strength. Obviously we don't really currently have a higher high in Bitcoin or ETH or virtually any altcoins, but we do have a higher high potentially forming in INJ. Not something that I've really watched because I've kind of been sidelined, but I've just been really impressed and I've been admiring the strength of this asset in the chart from the sidelines. Just haven't really had a good place to get in or anything. Maybe we continue this breakout and, low probability of a double top here. Maybe we just go straight to, those higher highs. Either way, that's if you're looking for assets to identify that which have been the strongest in the market, I think that INJ is definitely somewhere near the top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. And it showed very similar price action to a lot of those other assets that I mentioned in the sense that it bottomed on Saturday, June 10th. I mean, this is true for a lot of altcoins, but bottomed on this day, didn't go as low as some of the other assets, but since has been essentially in up only with some slight pullbacks at levels of critical nature like $9. So yeah, this chart is looking very strong, and I think this is what the Uni chart could ultimately end up looking like if it continues its positive price action. So yeah, good to see an asset that is reaching price discovery amidst this current price action. But anything else you would like to add today before we wrap things up? I'm sure you got a few more cards. That's my screen, sir.
Give me just a moment. All right, what's altcoins? Yeah, so haven't seen a whole lot of relative strength from Pepe. It's kind of just been average or disappointing. Sui just really getting a lot of sell pressure anytime it tries to pump whatsoever. Even Aptos has kind of been a little bit less sell pressure in terms of like the team. But yeah, I mean, just looking at Lido and still holding that one. I just like I have to make a point about like why I don't really believe in shorting crypto right now. I just don't have the energy for it anymore. It feels like, and maybe this might be the local top, but just to give a brief breakdown of like two positions I could have taken this week or last week, and I've mentioned this a little bit already in the webinar, but like looking at something at like Lido, if you were to buy it back here around 195 or even at $2 in one day, you have the potential of making 20% and then following the next day, potentially another 10%. Whereas if you're looking to short something just because it's gone up immensely, like what I was looking at with Bitcoin Cash, even if it's worth it, even if this is the top, which is there's likely chance it is, look at how long it takes, and how many like short squeezes you have to go through here. Like there's a 20% squeeze, there's
Yeah.
another 15% squeeze, and you're not going to sell the top. Like let's be real, you're not going to sell the top. You're probably going to sell somewhere around like 270, in which case you're making like max 16 to 15% over a period of days. Whereas when playing to the upside, and if you get lucky, you're making, potentially 15 to 20% on like an alt in a day or two. So to me, it's just like in terms of leverage trading, I am
Yeah.
so exhausted in terms of like waiting for shorts to come to fruition that like I just want to sit down and just play things from the long side and not even worry about the shorts. Like I have to be so grateful that we can actually make long trades now in crypto, because all of 2022, I don't think we made any real long trades other than like the beginning of the echo bubble, like when optimism had a nice run. Um, that was a nice thing you could have traded. But I mean, all of 2022, we didn't really make long trades in terms of like levered bets in crypto. And it was all short trades. Now, all you have to do, I think, is do the opposite of what you did in 2022 to lose money, and you'll make money in 2023.
That is the most brilliant thing you're going to hear all day, folks. That is the best advice you'll hear all day. If you lost money in 2022, just do the opposite. It's really that simple. But no, in all seriousness, what CJ said is so true and important. And like he said, when you're trying to short something, the chances of you calling the top are slim to none. You're not like don't and in general in markets, I hate the idea of people trying to call a top or a bottom. Like stop that. Just trade what's in front of you, right? Don't try and make these predictions about where price may go or what may happen, because chances are you're not going to be shorting the top. And then because of that, if you use any significant leverage whatsoever, you're going to get squeezed out on, that brief move to the upside. So using leverage to short trade is a very dangerous game. And anything beyond 3x for me is basically like it's like I'm burning money. Like that's literally what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel when I trade options. But,
You just got to write it off. It's like buying a lotto ticket. It's like, no, I'm kidding. It's not. But, anyways,
yeah, like let's at least wait till the altcoins get up like 10,000% before we try to start shorting them. Like let's wait till 2021 levels, like when GCR came in and started shorting Luna. Let's do something like that in 2025.
yeah,
But as
now's
for
not.
shorting now, like let's just, I'm done.
Yeah,
I
now's not the time to be
doing more.
shorting. There's not enough. There's not enough people on the other side to be shorting this yet. I don't think we need
Yeah, no,
more.
that's the whole thing. It's like
Yeah,
it's PvP right now. It's not retail coming in. You know, we're just
it's
this is very
PvP.
difficult trading right now.
We've entered the PvP area of the RuneScape server where it's every man for himself, and yeah, try and stack that gold. But yeah, on that note, I think we will wrap things up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel and gets more eyes on our videos. And also, don't forget, check out tradethechain.com for a 14-day free trial. You get access to the awesome sentiment dashboard that shows you what are the hottest coins, what coins are on the move, what people are talking about on Twitter, and also my favorite part, you get access to a community of Discord traders from all around the world who we share our insights with, and they share their insights with us. It's a nice dialogue that goes on within that Discord, and I think it is one of the best in crypto. So definitely head over there and check it out. And also, one last thing, we will have an episode of Trading Rebellion today with a special guest that will be at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. So don't forget, you won't want to miss it. Like I said, there will be a special guest and should be a good one. But CJ, any final words?
Yeah, we'll see you guys for Trading Rebellion. Thanks for tuning in, and take it easy. Till